Hello, everybody. We are live again. Thank you for being here. We so appreciate you. This is Bridging Realms with Melody Pash, and this is my team, Darla and Jill. Say hello, Darla and Jill.
Hi.
There they are. There they are. We're all good. And we're so happy that you're here today. We're going to share a dream or two that's going to be kind of fun as always, as always. This dream is called Canadian Border, and it's a very short one, but you know how some of the very short ones are really power packed. So we're going to just go with that. So here we go. I'm going to read through like we always do, and then I'll go back through some short pieces and we'll just kind of go over all of it like we always do. All right. The dreamer is saying that it's something about being on the US and Canadian border, but there was no border, like there was no significant or distinct border. It had been removed, is the statement. It had been removed. So that's going to be a clue. The dreamer says, I couldn't tell the difference between Canada and US lands or side, no border police or anything. Everyone was crossing over into what I knew was Canada, but it was like it wasn't labeled anywhere. Everyone was playing on a green grassy field, like a grassy knoll, and my cousin Josh was to my right. And then the dream ends there. All right, ladies. Jill, you wanted to look at some of the numbers. I think you want to start there, and then I'll reread and we'll go into some of the details.
Oh, sure. The date is 2/18/25, and 2 is usually an agreement, or it's division or multiplication. So if you add 2 and 18 together, you have 20, and 20 symbolically is expectation. So we can expect something good coming out of this, because 25 is expectation and the 5 is full of favor. So there's a lot of favor on this particular dream. So we can expect that that our friend Canada is going to be close to us, and I believe that we will be unified, that there's some unity there. So that's kind of what this dream might suggest. So anyway.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that's a great way to look at it, because Canada is so significant. That's such a significant border. And I'm wondering if it, also represents a new release, for the US. That even the dreamer, when they sent the dream, they were saying, I really feel like this is about a new playing field for the US. And that's sort of funny and significant, being that our president has been, I think, sort of, how he will say things and he's just messing with people, talking about Canada being the 51st state. I don't know if he's really talking about doing that, but funny. I think I'm in agreement with you, Jill, that we are very closely knit to Canada, and we're also coming into that place, where there's a freshness. Canada, the word Canada actually means village or settlement. And the US has been kind of moving into sort of the same situation. You have some areas in Canada where there's still some communistic activity there. It seems very I don't know, aligned, strangely aligned. And they don't seem to have the freedoms, and there are parts of the US that are dealing with the same thing. So I'm wondering about that as well. Darla, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
I'm just, we always look out for what's best from our perspective, human nature. And I'm just mulling around in my head that it's our north border, and how, we can play well together. So far as I know, we've never had terrible issues with Canada.
Yeah.
But yet where the world is changing, and this whole settlement, doing it right, it's like it's an opportunity for a reboot in a friendly
That's
manner.
good.
Hmm.
That's really good. Yeah, that really makes perfect sense, because we're certainly there. And though it looks like Canada may be slightly behind us, we're certainly in that place where we're beginning to stand up. Now, the meaning of Canada being village is more community. It's like family. We say it takes a village to raise a child. It takes community, it takes family. That makes perfect sense. But settlement, I hear the word settlement, and yes, that's a new coming into or pioneering something new. Well, we've got that side of things going as well. But settlement also can have sort of a negative connotation, which to me is like settling into something, which is where we have been. But I don't believe that and Canada as well, but I don't believe we are there now. I think that we're coming out of that place where we're learning to fight for the inheritance, the territory, the land that God has given us. That's part of an inheritance. And we're learning to stand up and say, oh no, we're not giving that up. Oh no, we're standing our ground. This is our ground. This is our land. And so that's what I'm hearing as I look at those two words. And the community part of it makes perfect sense, because I've sort of in the past thought of Canada as being sort of a more of a neutral territory. I don't think it is necessarily now, but again, there's a closeness between the US and Canada. It's like we're very, very close, and they're on such a strategic border for us. And I think Darla had talked about, it being on our north. There's even that represents inheritance and the nation's original design. So I think there's definitely something there. Let me go back down to the dream again and just read back through a little part of that again. So looking at the Canadian US border, can't tell the difference between the two. Lands or sites, there's no border. The border had been removed. So this is a place where that separation has been removed. And as Jill was saying, there's a unity there because the separation has been removed. And everyone is playing on this grassy field, which is a new playing field, a new place. It's a new playing field. Darla, what did you bring up? That was really good about
that it's our northern border.
Yeah, but you were talking about the green belt. You said something about the green belt. which was so good. And then I forgot it.
I'm not sure I did. Jill, did you?
I wasn't in on that.
I think that was you, Darla, but we both forgot it. It's
Oh.
okay. Anyway, that it's like a new playing field for the US, but also for Canada, where there is that, as Jill was saying, that expectation of us being unified, being sister nations. That's what we feel like, sister nations, right? And everybody was going to this beautiful, fresh green field. And then Joshua, the dreamer's cousin, was there to her right. Now, interesting, because Joshua can be translated Yeshua, which is about that sense of redeeming, more like settling something on the redemption side, where this thing is settled, like the Lord is settling some things, and he is redeeming. So they and we are coming out from under pretty much communistic control, and the areas where we have been controlled, even through legalism, through even, I hate to say it, but religion, as well as government, education, really all the seven mountains.
And did you mention that it's their southern border, and there's a whole other set of righteous judgment? Because, like you said, there's been some communist activity there and different issues,
Yeah. Again, that's awesome. Yeah, there's definitely something there. Lack of borders, though, if you look at that on the negative side, lack of borders, lack of boundaries is not a good thing. That's a lack of diligence to secure, what we're standing for. And it not only opens us up to dangerous enemies, but it also confuses the national identity.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hello, Michael King. Good to have you, sir.
Michael.
Yeah, so there's something there, but it's specifically said the border was removed.
Right.
Now, if what Jill was talking about earlier, and God was the one who removed the borders, where he is establishing something, and there is a fellowship of sisterhood there between the two nations, this could get very interesting.
Yeah, I wanted to address the border too. The border is usually a parallel, and what has happened in the United States is now taking place in Canada. They are going through some of the same things that we are going through. And so there is that unity, as one goes, the other goes. And that's why the US, us, is us and them. There's a tie there where it ties us together. So it includes a group that is being represented, in close proximity, which we are very close in proximity. So if there's no borders there, we are unified. And anyway, and then you talk about a settlement, that is a bonus. So if there's unity, it's going to be a big bonus.
That is really good. And I know that we've brought this up again, before, but I'm going to bring it up again. This situation where I was praying with one of our Canadian um, mentees, and just in a session. And I go into this vision, and I'm seeing the southern border of Canada, which is our northern border. It's, sort of that northwest, kind of where you guys are. It's kind of there. It's not just a straight northern border for us. It's over there, right? And it was interesting because she actually looked it up. She did some research and found that the border between the US and Canada is actually underwater. There's also a very strategic pipeline that runs the very same place. And I kept seeing huge angels at the border, but the border is underwater. And there were these angels that were guarding the border. Now, there is, of course, a border where, as you're crossing in, we know this from our students that have come in, that come in from, through the Pacific Northwest. There is a border patrol. You have to go through the border and all of that, the gate. But the border actually runs mostly underwater. It's in the ocean. Where this big pipeline is, I think it's natural gas, is what I thought she told me. I could be wrong. But I saw all of these huge angels that were, for some reason, now we weren't even talking about Canada when I went into this vision. So it was very strange. This comes up at all. It's like, okay, I don't know. But I was seeing these large angels along the border. And then we began to see these huge, like killer whales, like some and orcas. Those are not the same, right, girls? Orcas, killer whales, they're not the same, right? Is that the same whale? I don't know.
I think so.
I don't know, but
Yeah,
they were, I got the word orca, which I did not really research. I did research the whales, but it was interesting because okay. Thank you, Michael. I thought they might be the same. Well, they were guarding the border. They were like guarding the border with the angelic, but the border under the water. So there were angels on land at the border, angels that were above the water on the border, but the whales were under the water at the border, guarding the border. And I don't even remember all the other detail that came out of that. Professor Google says they're the same. I love it. Absolutely. Thank you for that. That's awesome. Yeah. So it's like, Lord, what are you up to now? So we'll probably, we laugh about all this. We'll probably hear from Michael King next week sometime, and he'll be talking about orcas and about the border of Canada, and he had a dream. I love it. Killer whale. I love it. Yeah. And they were guarding, and we were concerned about not just the enemies, and whether we even think of Russia, being an enemy or not. I don't even know. I don't know. I think there are enemies and friends in every nation. Honestly, we don't know all the stuff that's going on, but we do know that north of that, of Canada, is Russia. So if you continue to move north through Canada, that's going to be Russia. And then you've got the Ukraine, and you've got all of that stuff going on. So the only thing that sits between us and, what's going on in Russia, as you say, Jill, that's sort of us and them. Well, it's Canada. It's Canada. And I wonder if Canada even represents the grassy knoll.
Mm.
We call in Texas, we call those, well, grassy knoll, but we like the grassy knoll that Kennedy was shot on, Dealey Plaza, but we call them green belts, where they have sustained and kept a piece of property that they maintain as just pretty, and they keep it green where people can walk dogs, and it's a bit like a park. It doesn't have toys like a park or park equipment, but that's the way we treat that land. We call it a green belt, and it separates. It usually separates like industrial from residential, or it's a separation. And then it's also functional for the people. Oh my. Yes, Michael, you are so right. The green belt, he says the green belt could also represent Greenland. Hello. See, I knew he would have something to say. I knew it. I knew the Lord would give him something.
Pushing the borders.
Right?
Good one. Good one.
Right? There you go. And
Yeah.
aren't the Vances, isn't our second family in Greenland? I saw that. I saw that kind of I whisked by that on X early this morning. I think they're visiting Greenland.
Wow.
So our perspective is less than symbolic and more towards literal in this
The
dream.
natural.
The natural.
Well, cousin Yeshua was on her right side. That would represent more the natural than the spiritual.
Okay.
So again, could be both.
Yeah.
But it seems a bit like a no-brainer. Yes, Michael, that is true. Greenland definitely wants to join the U.S., though. They're all in. I think they're all in.
Well, and a green belt would be an original boundary too, right? If it separates the city from the country-ish place. So it wouldn't be like a new boundary. It would be something that was already
they're typically man-made.
Okay, not necessarily something established naturally.
No, they're typically man-made, and it's where there's a little strip of something not big enough to really build on, or they have, say, electrical equipment and things like that, cell towers and things like that, things that affect us, but they need to be, that land needs to be maintained around those towers, and they're they don't build around them because they need to be able to maintain the equipment.
I see.
So the downside is there are usually man-made things connected to them. The upside is it can absolutely be connected. I do agree with Michael and some of what we're saying, that this does lean a bit more literal. Now, again, Greenland, the people, when Trump visited, when Don Jr. Visited Greenland with whoever he was with, I can't remember. They were going around talking to people, and everybody was like, yes, we want to be a part of the U.S. We want to be a part of the U.S. So Greenland seems somewhat to be in the bag. They have some great resources. And I would think it would behoove Greenland to be in, I don't want to say, well, in family, in relationship with the US, because the US would also be a protection for their resources, because they're not a very big place. And I don't know that they have I don't know that they have much of an army, but they have lots of resources, apparently, like highly accessible resources. Gyms is what I heard. So I think that it would probably be good, and maybe the Lord is putting some of these, he's making the village, putting the villages together, those settlements together, so that there's a protection and there's a healthy border or a healthy boundary where protecting one another is concerned. Because if you're in covenant, you're also protecting one another. You're watching out for one another. You have each other's backs. There's a lot there.
Yeah.
Because what would that even look like? It could get interesting. But I do know that pipeline underwater that runs along the border of the US and Canada is extremely, extremely significant, and it does need to be protected for sure. This is such a good dream. I love that.
Mhm.
Did we ring it out? Michael? You got anything else? He should just be on with us, right?
You should.
Our friend Michael.
Mhm.
Well, Lord, we just speak that you do whatever is your heart. Lord, you're all about the land. You're all about the land. So we speak into the land and we say, we bless you, Canada. We bless you, Greenland.
Mhm.
We bless all of the northern part and all of the United States. And we prophetically, we bring in those territories that are supposed to be under our wings, supposed to be family with us, supposed to be in the village.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
That is really good. All right, we have another really funny one. This has been one of my favorite ones lately. Let's look at the business class dream.
Oh.
Oh, no, sorry. Nope, let's look at the project in DC. That's a good one. That's a really good one. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read this. And then it's a little bit longer, so I'm going to read through first so you can just hear what's there, and then we'll go back through the pieces. The dreamer says that they were in Washington, D.C., near a circular pool, much like what you would see a water fountain in, but there's no fountain. It's just a circular pool with a short stone wall around it that you sit on. So it's like a fountain, but there's no fountain. There's no water moving.
Mm.
It was just the pool. They're watching a podcaster, a well-known podcaster, from a bird's eye view above, and they're able to see what the podcaster is doing. The podcaster is filming something with some of her family, maybe even other people. So everything the dreamer is seeing is being filmed by the team, I guess the podcast's team. The film project is like a cute, funny, undercover detective thing for her YouTube channel. She can even hear, the dreamer can even hear the music for it in the background. The dreamer walks, the podcaster walks over to the fountain, to the stone part around the fountain, or the pool rather, where you would be seated on the wall, and the podcaster grabs what looks like the dreamer's zippered pouch that they carry their everyday gun in her purse. And the podcaster pulls the zippered pouch with the gun out of the stone. No one actually knew that she had put it there. It's like she was revealing, there she was making this grand revealing of this cool secret. And the dreamer is thinking, okay, what now? And then the dreamer gets a vision of the podcaster seeing the dreamer's dreams and her gun. Okay, well, my feeling on this is, number one, the very first thing that I heard when we were talking about the gun being pulled out of the stone was Excalibur, the sword and the stone, King Arthur's sword. And wondering if the podcaster represents the dreamer here. And DC being the seat of authority or government, maybe even the false, again, a false identity, because a false kingdom, because we know what's built under DC is not good. But it might be a public situation because a podcaster is more public in nature, but the gun belongs to the dreamer. So I'm just feeling like the podcaster and the dreamer are probably the same person. Michael is asking, did the dreamer say the name of the podcaster? Yes, Michael, they did, but we don't use public names because they're well known and the podcaster is a friend, so we don't use the name. But the name actually means sheep. Hi, Tammy. So the podcaster, so we're just going to use it more as symbology, but the meaning of the podcaster's name is sheep. Ladies, you want to pipe in here?
Well, I was thinking that since this is set in stone in DC, that it's a landmark, and probably was something that was established early on. Maybe our founding fathers had this built, and it was a thriving a fountain, and a fountain usually could be like a portal, or even the negative would be like a drain that is draining things that would be the life, or to be enjoyed, that is draining it underground. So since it's dry and it's set in stone, so it's something that has been established early on, is what I'm feeling. And so anyway, the fact that the podcaster was keeping this, it's like nothing is going to escape the lens of the camera. You know, that it's being really analyzed, and it's going to the public. So it's going to be sent out on YouTube, which is to the masses, to the people. So it's like an eye opener on what's going on in DC.
Yeah, I agree that absolutely the circular pool to me is a portal either no longer being used or has been used for defilement, because that's what happens when things get, taken over. But also, I agree about the draining, Jill, and I feel like that even leans into the more redemptive side of this as well, draining, like as in draining the swamp. Because if you've got just a pool and it's just sitting there and there's no water moving, it's going to be very stagnant, it's going to be very dirty, and it's going to be a mess. It's gonna just multiply disease and mosquitoes and whatever. And also feeling like it might even represent, you've got so much of the Masonic going on in DC and the structures of DC. I'm wondering if it also even represents the circle of even the programming through the institutional church, where that has been so stagnant and so legalistic and so just nasty, just bad stuff for the people and for the public in general. And think of on the DC Mall, you've got the reflection pond. It too doesn't have any movement. Of course, it's very, very shallow. They keep it very, very clean. But the circular, that to me is like you were talking about, a portal. And I feel like it's connected to the Masonic there on the land and on that parallel. Oh yeah, Michael's saying, a hidden gun is a concealed carry. Yeah. And Bill suggests the hidden things being brought to light. YouTube matches with this, all referencing scripture. It's the hidden things brought. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And the gun, if both people, which probably, this can certainly lean toward the corporate. I love that God always does that. But if it's leaning more toward the individual who had the dream, which is also very cool, that pouch that she keeps her gun in her purse in, that represents also, the gun represents her prophetic voice, her voice. And so her voice having been in stone, but is now being released where it can be used, it's like that. And in a zipper pouch, it had been zipped up, like she wasn't able to release the prophetic sound that was in her. But now that the gun is coming out and it's public again, like Excalibur was coming out of the stone and then it had its power again, that prophetic voice coming out as her gun again would be the weapon that she can now use again as a weapon in the kingdom of darkness and over the nation. Yeah, absolutely. Her voice being unveiled, released around the world. Yes, absolutely. And this dreamer is a warrior, absolutely a warrior. And interesting, when the dreamer is looking at the dream from a bird's eye view point or from above, or it's like they're watching the activity and they're watching people within the activity, within the scenario of the dream. It's very likely that those in the dream, like sometimes every character in the dream can actually depict the dreamer, right? Can be another aspect of the dreamer. Well, watching from above is seeing a new scenario. It's seeing a vision. It's like an open vision, even though it's in a dream. It's like an open vision because she's seeing from a bird's eye view, or watching from above, and she's able to see what's going on and see the message play out. You guys have any thoughts on that? I wanted to go back to the what it was saying about the cute. The film project was a cute, funny, undercover detective thing that she was going to put on her YouTube channel. Go ahead, Darla.
No, I hit the wrong one by mistake. The circular thing, though, I keep going back to, and the fountain built in stone. It's like something cast in stone. We supposedly came over here for religious freedom. So the intention was good, even though, it got hijacked, like you were saying. But I wonder if there's a thing coming full circle, an opportunity.
Absolutely. Because there's always the redemptive side. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and with the entire nation, and as we keep hearing, as the United States goes, so goes the world. So and then it's like, it's not going to happen without somebody doing something, and here's Holy Spirit all of a sudden saying, here's a gun. and honestly, bullets, those words, they are effective. We used to joke about when we were little girls, us who had older brothers, that that you can't beat them up, that you can sure mouth off to them and cut them off at the knees. They're quite sensitive to their egos. But then the reality is, bullets, guns, we're a free nation who has that right to carry both our religion and our arms to protect ourselves. Yeah. And they're very effective. I mean, what is there so far that can be carried and accommodated, as and there's such a variety of guns out there. It's just like, God, he's got more plans, more methods, more things than we can even begin to imagine. So it's kind of an exciting reliving, another opportunity. So we, something went wrong the first time around, but here we are again, and what are we going to do this time?
Yeah, I love that. Mm-hmm. And the cast in stone, I'm going to go back to that, what you were talking about, Darla, the being cast in stone. Even the, on both sides, I just love that he speaks in so many different aspects. He's so multifaceted, right? So multifunctional. But that cast in stone, the way the 10 Commandments were in stone, right? Right. Well, in the Declaration of Independence and all of our Bill of Rights and all of that, the Second Amendment, that was put in stone. It was not a bill. Yeah. It was not a bill that was floating. It was established with all the rest of
Mhm.
the bills that
Mm.
were about our freedom in the beginning. And
Right.
yeah, Michael, I agree with that as well,
Mhm.
that this dreamer is a faithful sheep and yeah,
Mhm.
is being promoted. Yes. Now, the other thing too, this dream actually came from one of our students. So I'm just going to tell on her just a little bit because it's just so cute. But I went back, looking at the first part of this where she's saying where'd it go? It's like a funny, a cute, funny, undercover detective kind of, film. Girls, doesn't that sound a little bit like some of the people that are in the school and the school in general? And this particular dreamer, because she's fun and funny and
Yeah.
she is very emotive.
Mhm.
It just
And
it fits her.
diligent
Huh?
and so diligent.
Yeah.
She's
Oh yeah.
on
Oh yeah.
top of things all the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I mean, it's just I love the way he speaks, and yeah, and on the national side, I think that
Yeah.
you also say, um, yeah, interpreting dreams is a bit like detective work. Oh yeah, no kidding, no kidding, my friend. That being zipped up, being in a pouch, we say when something's in the bag, it's in the bag, it's zipped up. It's in the bag. It's dealt with. It's dealt with. So that coming out, the prophetic gifting coming out, which she is very prophetic, but that coming out and just think of it even for the nation. We are a prophetic nation. We are prophetic
mhm.
people, and that it's coming out like the Excalibur coming out of the stone. The magic sword had no power while it was in the stone, right? But only King Arthur, only the one who had authority, that the one that it belonged to, could pull it out of the stone, right? And the stone is, so much like where the enemy has us. Go ahead, girls.
Well, I was thinking that, a fountain is something that always blows upward and it's fanned up and out. And anyway, I believe that this fountain is a landmark and that it is a public a place where the voices are heard. Like in our beginning of our nation, they spoke out in public, and wherever people gathered, they spoke out. And this would be one of those places because it's like a well. It's been dug and the intention was good. And anyway, it just seems like this fountain is about to blow, that it is coming to life, and like Old Faithful,
Mm.
it is going up in the air, and nothing's going to be hid because it's being filmed, even unprofessionally. Anybody and everybody that has a voice is now putting their things out on YouTube, and so it's no longer going to be hid. It's going to be expressed. So that's what I was thinking.
Boy, that's the truth.
Yeah.
That is the truth. There's just so much here. There's a lot here. We say that every time, don't we?
Yeah.
See if there's anything we left out. I just love this. Well, and the other thing is, I keep going back to this drain, Jill, where you're talking about the drain and draining. When something's about done, we say, oh, it's circling the drain.
Yeah, exactly.
That thing is circling the drain. It's just about out of here. It's just about gone. And we know that that's happening with a lot of things. We're seeing a lot of things. And, for what? Oh gosh. Well, Michael, you were in Tacoma with us for the first consortium, but we have been going out every year and praying over that gate, the Northwest Gate, and ringing the Liberty Bell. When we were there this month, I remembered that you were the one who rang the bell.
Mhm.
Wasn't Michael the one who rang the bell the first time we were there, which was in 2020? Well, all these years, the prayer team has still been praying together, once a week. We all still pray together once a week on Saturday morning. And one of the things that we've been praying is that the mainstream media would open their mouths and have to tell the truth, that they would be either muzzled or they would have to tell the truth when they open their mouths. And boy, we are seeing it now. Yeah, I was thinking of you, Michael. I was thinking of you. We were, Jill rang it this year. She did a good job.
She did.
Yeah, the Lord still has not released us from that assignment, which is very interesting to all of us.
Yeah.
But the setting the captives free and the, what is the scripture that's Leviticus 20:25? Is that what it is?
I think so.
Yeah, proclaiming freedom across the land and the inhabitants thereof. I think
Yes.
it's how, very simple, but so profound.
So profound. So profound. And I think this dream ties into a lot of that. And yes, the cycling back around, even the circular pool. I think, Darla, you were talking about the cycling thing, cycling back around. We are definitely there and coming more and more into that, where we're seeing, even as I was saying, we're seeing our prayers answered. Because we were also praying that the evil elitists, those who chose not to receive the Lord. For years we prayed that they would receive. But if they didn't, that they were going to have holes in their pockets and all of their funding would be gone. We're starting now to see that as well. I remember the first time Jill and I were praying over that. It's like sand falls out of their pockets. They can't keep any of it. They're losing all their funding. Well, here it is. Doge is doing that for sure. Yeah, that is so good. Michael,
And there was
what?
Okay, and there was a day when all of a sudden the Lord said, "Stop praying for certain individuals for their salvation." It was we prayed, and that's a hard thing to pray, but yet, it's a hard thing to stop praying, but yet we're here we are, and had these people stepped down earlier or their pockets dried up earlier, how many less people would have been, how many fewer abortions, how much less trafficking, how much less of all the things that line their pockets that make them wealthy. So yes, this is such an amazing and wonderful turnaround with Doge.
Yeah, it's and Michael was saying in medicine, he's a nurse, so in charts, when it's like they write in a whole different language. DC means discontinue this medication or discontinue that treatment. We are definitely seeing that. I thought of something else I was going to share too, and then it eluded me. It jumped right out of my head. That happens to me sometimes. You were talking about, what were you just talking about, Darla? You were talking about or Jill, what?
Well, when the day came after praying a few years,
Right.
that we
Right.
would not pray salvation on these people anymore. They had made up their minds.
Right. And that reminded me that last year when we were out there, this was sometime last year we were on a retreat, but it was just mostly directors. It was just directors. The Lord had us take, it was over 3-4 days, ladies. And it was a very long laundry list of people. He had us literally call their names out and take them to the courts of heaven, take them to the bench. Well, we had the angels take them to the bench, but
Right.
That was a very interesting meeting because, I just wouldn't have thought of all of the things that he said over that weekend. And I wouldn't have even thought to be calling out those people's names other than for salvation. But it wasn't about salvation. It was about taking them to the courts because we had already been praying for their salvation. And it's like the Lord said, they've had their chance to make a decision for me. If they haven't, then you need to bring them to court. We were like, whoa, okay. Okay. That was one of our funny secret undercover meetings. Yeah, much of which we did, I will not share, but yeah. Yeah, I love the way God speaks. I love the way he works. It's amazing. It's amazing. And somebody, one of us will have a dream, the students or the mentoring clients will have a dream, and it's amazing how it will all tie into exactly where we are. Oh yeah, handguns are definitely not just for violence, but primarily to restrain evil. Absolutely. They are to protect ourselves. They are for the use and the purpose of protecting ourselves. Absolutely. Wow. You guys have anything else on this? This is, man, I could just dig myself a really deep hole with this one and just go into all kinds of.
Yeah, there definitely is a lot there. And I was thinking that the guns also are your speech, and once it goes out public, it's out in the atmosphere, and the truth is what sells. So it disarms evil, it disarms lies. There's something very defining about shooting a gun. It settles the matter. Yeah.
Boy, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It really does. Wow. That is so good. Wow. Well, I think that's it. I think we've wrung it somewhat dry. Not totally. We never wring them totally dry. There's always more. Thank you guys for joining us. I am going to ask, this is actually a pre-recording for next week because we're going to be at a retreat. We're going to be traveling. So if I could ask you guys in the chat to hang on until the video uploads, so fully uploads, if you would just stay on for just 2 or 3 more minutes, if you wouldn't mind, after we end the stream, that would be great. And hopefully that will have your comments transfer over. I hope. We're still working on that. Anyway, love you guys. Thanks for being here. You rock, and we'll be talking to you again soon.
Yeah.